welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And it's right upon us now. The Premier League comes back tomorrow. I'm sure we're all really looking forward to it. The first game tomorrow is a 12:30 game, Newcastle v Chelsea. United play in the evening. It's an 8 o'clock game against West Brom at Old Trafford. Ole's done his press conference at Old Trafford today, so the bits of injury news, whatever there are, they're now out. Ole has said today that Luke Shaw, Jesse Lingard and Phil Jones are the only players who didn't take at least some part in training, and he actually said it's looking good. So it's looking good for United for tomorrow night, according to Ole. There's only those three players who were definitely sidelined. He said that Marcus joined in the training for the first time today, and they're hoping that there's no reaction. Obviously, he injured his shoulder 2 weeks ago at Goodison Park. So he's trained today for the first time. When Ole says he hopes that there's no reaction, I'm going to take that to mean that he thinks he's going to be fit, really. They're hoping for no reaction. In other words, if there isn't, he will play. So I'm going to hazard a guess that Marcus is going to be fit tomorrow and will be fit to play. He also mentioned Victor Lindelof. We'll have to check tomorrow. His back is not great, with what Ole's exact words. So a little bit of a negative there about Victor. Maybe Axel will get a game tomorrow in place of Victor, so let's see how Victor goes on. I hope he passes his test, but at the same time, it'd be nice for Axel to get a bit of game time, and I don't think he's, the way he's played recently, I don't think he's going to weaken the team too drastically if Axel plays. But as I say, they've not given up hope, but hopefully Victor's fit, but he may not be. A couple of minutes later, Mason Greenwood was mentioned. He was asked about Mason Greenwood. This was about 2 minutes after saying that only 3 players were missing. He said, everyone's allowed to be unwell. He's been away from training for 8 or 9 days and we are just building him up again. So Mason's been missing from training with illness for 8 or 9 games and they're just building him up again. That to me sounds as though Mason's not going to be included in the team tomorrow, or in the squad probably even. So I think that's what he's saying there. He's been missing for 8 or 9 days. He's trained today for the first time. So I think Mason will be missing. On the plus side, Anthony Martial, there was a slight doubt against him, according to some of the newspapers earlier in the week. Not mentioned once, his name wasn't mentioned. So I think it's only safe, fair and safe to assume that Anthony Martial's trained and that he's fully fit and ready to go. So that's the good news. Anthony Martial it seems fine. 5 substitutes were discussed. The Championship and lower, the EFL, they voted on it during the week. They're now having 5 substitutes. Obviously, the reason behind it that's being talked about a lot is that there's a lot of injuries happening, a lot of soft tissue injuries, and Ole mentioned it that quite a lot of them are happening late in games. I suppose he's saying there that players get tired after 75, 80 minutes and start to pull muscles and things like that. So they want the 5 substitutes. I think the Premier League are going to follow suit. That's my own feelings on it. This wasn't said, I'm saying this. I think the Premier League will probably follow suit quite soon and vote to have 5 substitutes. Ollie did say when you got 5 substitutes that, with 20 minutes to go or so, you can make 2 or 3 substitutions, and it gives you more chance of less players having injury problems late in the games. And I suppose what he's inferring there is if you make 2 or 3 subs on 70 minutes, at least you've still got a substitute or 2 up your sleeve, rather than having no substitutions available to you after you've made 2 or 3 subs. It took my mind back to the France v Portugal game last Saturday when Didier Deschamps only made 2 substitutions in his game, in the whole game. And in the international arena, they are allowing 5 substitutes. So it just made me wonder, a little bit of a rascal really for me to think like this, but would Didier Deschamps be in trouble with some of the club managers for only making 2? It seems a bit strange to me that the clubs want 5 substitutes available to them so that they can rest players, and then the international arena they're allowed 5 substitutes and yet only use 2 of them. So I find that quite strange really, and I think Didier Deschamps should really be answering questions from 1 or 2 club managers. Paul Pogba was mentioned on the plus side for the international arena. Ole said Ollie said that he's played 3 games for France. I'm pretty sure he's played 3 full games. I can remember him playing 2 full games. I think he might have played 3 full games, Paul Pogba, during the last week. Ollie said that the 3 games that he's played for France will have strengthened him, and that he played well in those games. It has been said in the last few weeks, when United have not been doing so well at times, that Paul wasn't fully fit and wasn't really firing on all cylinders. So now that he's had 3 full games for France, if that was just an excuse in the first place, surely that excuse now has to go on the back burner. He's played 3 full international games, a couple of, well, all really tough games, really. One might have only been against Finland, but they did lose the game. They lost 2-0 to Finland, then they beat Portugal 1-0. That's a tough game, and managed to beat Sweden 4-2 in the end. So he's had 3 pretty tough games in international football inside a week. So if he's not fully fit now, I don't know when he will be fully fit. And Ollie has said that they have strengthened him and that he played well. So maybe we'll see, maybe we'll see a little bit more of Paul. He might start getting more game time. Talking about the team coming up, what the team selection might be for the West Brom game. He mentioned the game at Goodison, and he said he was very pleased with the performance at Goodison. Obviously, we won 3-1 there. He even mentioned the goals. He said 2 of the goals were great team goals, and one was a good one on the break. The late goal was on the break, and he also added, he mentioned it twice, what a good performance it was, and that made my ears prick up, because he said, we want to see more of that. It was a good performance at Everton, and we want to see more of that. So with him saying that, that's making me think that the team is likely to be as near as possible to the team that played at Goodison Park. That's what I'm thinking. So I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that at the end. Next, he also said, we want to dominate, but also be good defending. He said, we want to dominate, but also be good defending. To me, it's one and the same thing. If you want to dominate a football match, you want to dominate the ball. And when you dominate the ball, you also want to dominate the game territorially. You'll sometimes see the action areas. If you watch a game on TV, they might show you that 40% of the action area is in the final third. They might show 30% in the middle third and maybe only 30% in your third, or whatever, obviously different combinations of 100%, but more of the ball in the top third and the middle third than in your own third. So you're not just dominating the ball, but they're showing you where the action areas are. So you're dominating the game territorially, or you're attempting to dominate the game territorially. In order to dominate the game territorially, your defenders have to be right up near the halfway line for good periods of the game, because not only are they playing, they're there to receive passes and to give passes back into the midfield, keeping you in possession of the ball, keeping you dominating the ball and dominating the game territorially. But on top of that, if the opposition are under pressure, sometimes they just clear it. Well, not sometimes, it happens a lot. They just clear it anywhere. And your defenders are there to pick it up, to win challenges, and to keep the pressure on, and to keep dominating the game territorially. So your defenders are not just defending. A lot of people think about defending, and they think about defending your own box and defending your own goal. Your defenders are also important when you're dominating the game territorially. That's where it starts. They're the ones who don't let the opposition get the ball. They're the ones who don't let the opposition get out, just as much as the people who might be on the press, as they talk about these days. So to me, it's one and the same thing. I agree with Ollie. He's 100% right. We want to dominate, but we also want to be good defending. To me, it's one and the same thing. Dominating the game defensively isn't just dominating in your own box and near your own box. It's also your defenders dominating their opponents near the halfway line. That's where you start to dominate the game, by your defenders dominating their opponents. So I agree with Ollie on that one. A lack of fans was also mentioned. Ollie, I don't like. I've heard this 2 or 3, maybe more than that, 4 or 5 times now, and I don't like it. He even mentioned one of the games. He mentioned the Spurs game. We might not have been as bad if we'd have had our fans behind us. Obviously, we haven't done well at home. That's why it's been being spoken about, that there's no advantage of being at home because there's no fans there. But surely it's the same for everyone. That's my argument. I mean, we had a good win at Everton the other week. Everton didn't have their fans behind them. The Goodison's a fantastic atmosphere when it's packed out. Maybe we wouldn't, you know, if the same argument holds, maybe we wouldn't have won at Goodison if Goodison was packed out. Even Brighton away, we had a pretty lucky win really at Brighton away. Maybe we wouldn't have been quite as lucky there if their fans were behind them. So I don't want to hear him repeat that again. I'm sure I will hear him repeat it at some stage, but I've heard it said a few times and I don't like it. It's the same for everyone. When you're at home, you like to have your fans behind you, but it's a bonus when you play away that the opposition team have not got their fans behind them as well. As I say, I've got the benefit of having heard all his remarks now about different players. To mention, I'll mention what I think the team will probably be tomorrow, but I've had a quick look in a couple of the newspapers. The Daily Express have suggested it's going to be De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Tuanzebe and Lindelof. I think there was a little rumour about Maguire having an ankle injury, but it's not been mentioned today, so I don't see it being Tuanzebe and Lindelof. It'll be Maguire and either Lindelof or Tuanzebe. The Express have got Telles at left back. There was rumours in the week about Telles having a positive test for COVID, but they've said today it's definitely negative. So Telles should be playing at left back in place of Luke Shaw. The Daily Express also picks Matic and Fred in midfield. Why on earth did Luke leave McTominay out? There's no mention of an injury. He's been playing all the games. He played at Goodison. I think McTominay and Fred will play in the middle. So I don't know why they've done that. They've got Bruno in the team as a midfield player, really, because they've also got Greenwood, Marshall and Rashford up top, which is what we were using earlier in the season. And it didn't go particularly well as far as I'm concerned. There's too many attack-minded players in that lineup. They've got Bruno, Greenwood, Marshall and Rashford all in the team. Could get away with it against West Brom. That's what the Daily Express are predicting. Well, I've got the benefit of having heard his words about Greenwood. I don't think Greenwood's going to be available anyway. But even if he was available, I wouldn't agree with that lineup that the Express have picked. The Evening Standard have gone with De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Tuanzebe, Maguire and Telles. Obviously, they're assuming Lindelof's missing. That could easily be the case. They've got Van der Beek, McTominay and Bruno in midfield. So they've left Fred out. So one paper, the Express leaves McTominay out and the Evening Standard leave Fred out. I think they'll both play. So I don't know why. I don't know what's going on there. Why do you think he's going to suddenly drop one of his midfield players that's been playing every week? And then the Evening Standard again have got the three forwards, not the same three forwards, but they've got Rashford, Cavani, and Marshall up top. With Bruno, Rashford, Cavani and Marshall up top. Like I say, you could get away with it against West Brom, but to me, it's too many attacking players in the same lineup, and they've got Fred missing as well. So I don't agree. I think the Evening Standard and the Daily Express are both wide of the mark. Obviously, as I said, I've got the benefit of having heard all these comments, and I think the team's going to be as close as possible to the team that won at Goodison. I think it'll be Wan-Bissaka in goal. It's not Wan-Bissaka in goal. It'll be De Gea in goal. Wan-Bissaka at right back. I think it'll be Maguire partnered by Lindelof if he's fit. If Lindelof's not fit, I think Tuanzebe will play. I think Telles will play at left back. I think McTominay and Fred will play centrally. Obviously Bruno at number 10. I think Juan Mata will keep his place wide on the right. If Rashford passes his test, I think he'll play on the left. And if he doesn't, I think Marshall will play on the left with Cavani up top. But if Rashford passes his test, I think he'll keep his place on the left with Marshall up top. So I think Telles in for sure, and so long as they pass the fitness test, I think Rashford will play, and I think Lindelof will play. Otherwise it'd be Cavani for Rashford and Tuanzebe for Lindelof. Can't wait for that game. Really looking forward to it. Desperate for the 3 points. Got a Champions League game. I think it's on Tuesday night. It's on Tuesday night. Against Basaksehir at Old Trafford, another must-win game. So we've got 2 must-win games in 4 days. Really looking forward to both games. 8 o'clock tomorrow night, live. Pretty certain. I don't think it's Sky. I think it's BT Sport, but it's 8 o'clock tomorrow night. West Brom at Old Trafford. Can't wait for it. If you enjoyed that little show, please give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell all your friends about it. If you didn't like it, don't tell anyone. Keep stum.